Are you ready to roll into this?
Yes. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and germs. How are you today? This is Matt and Mike's Matinee. Today we're going to be talking about a movie called Friendship. Mike, are we friends?
Yeah, we're definitely friends.
We're still friends after making you watch this movie with me?
Yeah, we're friends, but nothing like this movie.
No, that's a good thing.
Very
that,
good.
that we're a different brand of friends than described in this film. So, this is a movie by Andrew DeYoung. It's the very first movie that he's made for A24. A24, of course, is known for interesting kind of artsy drama pictures and also maybe like kind of off-kilter horror films. A little bit more in the realm of Sinners and more like that than the kind of horror movies you probably want to see more, you know.
That makes sense considering how this movie went.
Yes, and this is starring Tim Robinson from I Think You Should Leave, starring Tim Robinson, in kind of a little bit of an interesting role in this movie. You know, it's definitely parallels what he does, you know, in his show. The kind of cringe humor, the really loud, boisterous, like explosive type of humor is there, but in this one's a little bit more subdued, so it's a little interesting. So what are your thoughts on this?
So Friendship, right?
Yeah.
100%. I love Paul Rudd. I love Kate Mora.
Mm-hmm.
They were one of the biggest draws for me to the film.
Yeah.
Tim Robinson has done some amazing skits in the day
Mm-hmm.
that have stuck with me over time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The movie made me feel really bad throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You start out, hey, I'm going to watch this movie, and it's funny, it's going to be a comedy. And then it just drops off the deep end, and it leaves you thinking, what did I just watch?
Mm-hmm.
I did not leave the theater feeling great
Yeah.
after that. In fact, I'm just going to say it now. There was a good chunk that I missed because I was going to the restroom and got sidetracked. So I can't give you a full, proper review because of it. But I will say the parts that I seen, I felt like I needed to take a shower. A long, cold shower afterwards with a beer in my hand.
Yeah.
I
Was the cringe too powerful?
Too powerful.
Yeah.
It was cringy. It was too powerful. I was looking at Mr. Craig the whole time and just being like, I want you to just stop. just stop. And it's not to Tim Robinson's fault because that's how they wanted the movie to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not my form or understanding of how I want to spend 2 hours of my life. Like,
Yeah, so when it comes to the comedy, so similar to how I was with Lilo and Stitch, where the comedy didn't work for me at all. Is that kind of where you're sitting at? Because
no, the comedy definitely worked.
Mm-hmm.
It was the consistent ups that happened afterwards. It was this, wow, that was actually kind of funny. You did this. And then all of a sudden turning around and then making that joke either too far or taking the power away from the joke, which, as we've been discussing off screen, it's what the film was trying to do. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, well, do you think it's just because the character you're not supposed to root for them, or you learn eventually you're not supposed to really root or get behind the main character? Do you feel like it's just a kind of story that you're not interested in seeing, or are you just not necessarily against those kind of stories?
So let's flip the perspective a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the points that I had was that everybody else in the story was more interesting than Craig.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Some of the situations that Craig was put in was interesting, like the toad, like the gun.
Well, yeah,
scene,
and I think
like
that's,
that.
and I just agree with you. But I mean, the reason why that is because Craig is trying to recreate all the experiences of everyone around him. Like everyone else is interesting. He doesn't have anything going for him. He wants to be the center of attention, but he doesn't know how to do that naturally. So he just like takes what he's experienced from other people and he tries to get other people to like him by giving them discounted versions of the experiences that he's already had with other people.
He's a piece of
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the
movie puts you in the perspective of the people that's around him. Like the movie forces you to feel those same feelings and forces you to be that awkward person in a room. Like, have you ever been in a room when someone's fighting and you're just like not in it, and you're just kind of like scrolling on your phone, trying not to pay attention until everything resolves.
Until the crash out is over.
That's the whole movie to me, and I don't like being in those situations. Like, not to say that the movie was bad because of that, but because I didn't like it because that's not what I want to watch, type thing.
So it's not the fact he's an unlikable protagonist. That wasn't necessarily the core of the problem.
Correct. It was that there was
it's just this particular brand of humor, like this particular angle they took, just wasn't didn't land for you.
It's not that it didn't land for me. It's just that that's not what I want.
Yeah,
that's not what I
it's
want
interesting.
out of a movie, out of something that I'm investing my time into and something that I'm interested in. Now, Friendship does do a lot of things kind of like Ephus, right? Ephus was very much a pivotal point in my movie watching experience because I've never seen anything like that.
Right.
Friendships is on that level. Friendship is on that level. And it's because I've never had such a visceral reaction to a movie like that in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I was sitting there, and I think I whispered into your ear a couple of times, I hope he dies.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really, never wanted a character in a movie to die
It's
bad.
intense. The movie's intense.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much intense. And it's that the whole, it starts off, right? And you feel good about it. You think it's going to be a funny comedy type story. Let's just go have fun. And then it cranks it up to 10, and it stays there the whole time. And it makes you think that, hey, we're coming back down, but then turns right back around and he puts soap in his mouth.
Yeah.
And that was the scene that turned me off of the whole movie, was the soap scene.
Yeah.
Which is when the kind of climax and the really understanding of the character comes into play.
And you really understand what the movie is going for.
That is the switch that the movie was trying to drive, and I respect that.
Yeah, and just so the audience is aware, to what Mike was saying, the whole first part of the movie, you kind of think that Craig's kind of eccentric, but you're not quite aware of how kind of vindictive he is, how much he craves attention, how much he turns everything into himself, and how much he's a narcissist to an extreme degree. And the movie, the ride of the movie, like we were talking about, the arc that happens in the movie is you're the audience are trying to figure out what kind of movie you're watching, because it kind of goes through some different things where it starts off being kind of serious. You're kind of like, oh, is this actually kind of like a more dramatic movie about a marital relationship kind of falling apart? Oh, I don't know. Or is this no, it's kind of like a heartwarming story about a guy who is kind of finding a purpose in his life from obtaining a friendship in his 40s or 50s, which is kind of interesting.
I like that movie.
And it starts that way. But then you're just like, oh, but then all of a sudden like his neighbor is kind of weird. He's kind of into some interesting things, like breaking into government offices, and you start going, ooh, this, and then the cinematography kind of gets a little dark and kind of you're like, is the movie kind of telling me this is going to go in kind of like a horror kind of direction, which kind of does actually. The real horror is inviting Craig into your life, but it is true. And then you're like, but then you realize it's actually a very powerful movie about narcissism. I think displaying narcissism, the best I've ever seen a movie do it.
Exactly.
And it is funny. It is a funny movie, but the thing about the humor is it's one of those films where it's funny, but the longer it goes, it starts off being some genuinely funny scenes, and then there's some stuff that's it's so cringe, so horrible, and Craig is so conceited, so selfish, so you
Messed up.
can't help but laugh at it. It's like as a response of like how some people have like a nervous tick or a nervous laugh at some things.
There were scenes where the audience laughed. Where I was sitting there, I was like, no, this is not funny at all.
I think that's like where it wants you in. It wants you to like right on that line.
Yeah, I'm not that kind of person.
And and I think it's effective at doing that. What were some of your favorite, or some of the funnier scenes, or some of the better scenes in your opinion, like that you watched?
I really liked the toad scene where he licks the toad and he goes back into. He's like, man, I got ripped off by that toad. Like Tim Robinson has some one-liner shots throughout the whole movie that are just absolutely funny.
I know.
Some of the things that he says.
I will say I don't know if there's a single person on this planet I think that says the F word more funny than Tim Robinson. Like he could drop those F bombs like so good. It could just be him just dropping his phone. And it's not the phone dropping it's funny. It's him exploding. That's funny.
The first time he drops it into the mud, he's like, he does the Tim Robinson thing, and then Paul Rudd's over like, man, I don't have a phone.
Yeah, which we learned is a lie.
And then Craig's like, wow, because he really looks up to Austin in this whole movie.
Right. Well, at first we think he is. First we think it's idol worship, and there might be a little bit of that going on, but it's more like he's like more interested in Austin as far as like what he can get out of Austin. Like I think Craig's really interested in the prestige of having a friend at Austin's level, and I think a little bit of that is what's going on. So, and even at the end of the movie, when he ends up kind of helping Austin out, keep preserving a little secret of between them. The thing about it is that I think that Craig is more preserving Austin's image. Like, you don't really know if he's preserving Austin's image because he really truly cares about Austin, which I don't believe, or he just doesn't want Austin to be seen like a loser because then Craig be attached to him.
But also, there's a third perspective to that, because there's a few times in the movie where Craig completely falsifies the situation in his own mind and sees it the way that he wants. There's no telling how many times that we've seen those, but we don't even recognize them. Yeah. Which kind of makes you as the viewer question, well, what am I supposed to take as truth and what am I supposed to take as false? Yeah.
My favorite, I totally agree. It's tough. It's tough. My favorite little moment in the movie, it's a movie of very subtle kind of observations. It's a movie that like really pays attention to the small things, and which I really appreciate. And there's a lot of little subtle jokes that are kind of like underneath that the movie constantly shows. Sometimes doesn't even draw attention to it. Sometimes just tells it with the camera, like Craig's pants being like scuffed up and destroyed later after he complains about his like wardrobe constantly getting messed up, and eventually he just you just kind of see the audience does, like, it's just they're all just messed up, and you just laugh because you're just like it happened again. But my favorite little observation is the thing where he basically is kind of like a neighborhood Karen almost, in a way. Like, you learn early that he like fought like the commissioners to get this speed bump installed in his neighborhood because of people driving.
Thing at the end of the movie.
And and then at the end it's like a foil. It foils him. Yeah. In his like revenge plot against his neighbor at the end of the movie, and I think it was such a brilliant.
It was a big move. Setup for that.
Yeah, it was, and it's so good. It's this movie's. Like the Electric State little mini robot coming out scene, where it's the Herman scene, yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where I'm at. For me,
how did you feel about it, buddy?
I liked it. I liked the movie because I think it was a pretty effective film, and I would kind of put this in the same pile of movies as like Raging Bull or actually even Porco Rosso, we were just talking about earlier today.
Interesting.
In where it's like a very extremely flawed male character kind of exploring some part of the male psyche, or and then kind of depicting a movie about how if those things go unchecked, how it affects
Yeah.
the people in his life, the relationships with people, and I think this movie is effective in that, and it kind of does it in a funny way, in a very cringy way, and that's so how much you like cringe humor is going to greatly affect how much you're going to like the movie. But I think there's something there to take from this movie, even if you're not a big fan of the comedy. There's still like something. There's a nugget there because I think it's very effective
if you can sit through it.
If you can sit through it, and you can kind of see what it's talking about as far as narcissism.
I would not watch this alone.
Because we were watching it with somebody that had someone in their own life that exhibited all of these behaviors.
Yeah,
and it ended up being really bad for them. It really hurt them quite a bit. And I think it's important for if you are somebody in the audience that you feel like you're relating too much to Craig in this movie, seek help.
Yeah.
And if you have a Craig in your life, maybe it's important to understand like kind of how narcissism, like how it kind of operates, to be able to identify that stuff
and then run away.
Maybe
if it's as bad as Craig.
And to be fair, most of the time it's not as bad as Craig.
Yeah.
Craig is an extremely heightened, exaggerated version of a narcissist. He's like narcissist cranked up to 11, But
Yes.
but I think, as I said, for that reason, I like the movie. But I don't know if I like loved the movie. I wasn't like head over heels. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again.
Nope.
But I think it's effective. So I'm gonna go 7 because I think it's just a good.
Really?
A good, solid
Yeah.
movie, and especially for what it did, it made me laugh. It made me think a little bit. It was fun to talk about it. But I think I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever go and see it again. But I think it's a solid,
Interesting.
a solidly put together movie with a solid and interesting kind of point that it made. So
mine's a 2.
Mm-hmm.
100% 2. There's things that it does that I can glean from, but I hated every single moment. I liked the first 15, 20 minutes of it, which is just set up.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was done.
Yeah.
I was tuned out. I was not having any fun.
Mm-hmm.
I was not laughing with the audience. I was sitting there wanting to strangle Craig the whole time.
That's good.
I had a visceral reaction to this movie.
Yeah.
I had to get up and take a break from it in the middle of it. Which you said I missed a lot of stuff, but I still don't think it was enough to keep me, or it wouldn't have been enough to change my mind.
Yeah.
In fact, the stuff that you told me that I missed probably would have made me even more frustrated.
Yeah. It's funny. It was just to Robinson like blowing up. It's just him going nuclear. It's like what you missed,
Which
part of it.
Him throwing a temper tantrum like a 3-year-old.
It's a little bit. It was more like he's not like a 3-year-old, more like a grown, full-bodied man that tries to like jump and attacks people, But yeah, it was a little different.
So still, that doesn't. No. Oh.
Or to like completely, take all the problems that his wife's having in the relationship and just throw it back in her face.
Yeah.
Really in a really bad way. You missed a lot of
that scene with after they. Found her in the party, right, was enough for me to be like, wow, I'm so glad that I didn't see this part, because it's
rough.
I'll say it. As soon as he put that soap in his mouth, right, was when my blood pressure started rising, and it did not stop the rest of the movie.
Yes,
I was gonna blow up. Just due to blood pressure.
That is so funny. Yeah.
I've never been so flabbergasted about a movie in my life. But I give it its credit because of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's what it wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's like tickling a person who doesn't like to be tickled.
So you don't want to go back and so you're not gonna go and watch the parts of the movie you missed, is what you're saying?
No, I'm not gonna gain anything from those parts that I missed that would change my mind. It might make it worse. Honestly, it might make it worse.
Yeah, but maybe you do need to. Maybe we can like get the final official mic final rating. We'll just make that into a little short later,
Keep an eye on the shorts. If that happens, just watch for my absolutely like blank-faced no.
It was a 1. No. We'll see. I don't know.
My blood is boiling, I feel like, talking about it. Right
I still feel like you gave it a little bit too much credit to drop into the 1, into the completely almost
It's a 2.
Yeah, you
It's
know
a
what I
2
mean? Yeah.
because it's what it wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't enjoy that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's just like the same thing with me and Lilo and Stitch, you know. Like, I gave
Yeah.
that a 2 because it just viscerally upset me watching it.
See?
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lilo Stitch is to me as friendships is to you.
Right. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
the other way around.
Yeah, and I think we gave each of them, although I gave Friendship a little bit higher of a score than you gave Lilo and Stitch. But still,
Because
it's still the
I
same deal.
I could
Yeah.
still see the flaws that
Yeah,
Lilo
yeah,
and
yeah,
Stitch had.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think that
There's nothing redeemable about friendship for me.
Yeah,
other
yeah.
than the fact that
Yeah.
if I wanted to torture somebody, I would put them through this
Well,
movie.
they might like it though.
No, that's the thing.
Because I think you're the only person in the theater that didn't
I
like
was
it.
I was the only person in the theater that was not laughing on the cues.
Yeah.
What does that say about me?
No, I don't know what that says about you. You know, it'll be interesting though.
I left the theater thinking about that movie. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't play any music. I was trying to decompress.
Yeah, that's good. I mean,
movie.
that's once again, that's good. I mean, that's art is supposed to get that kind of response from you, in my opinion. You know,
That
there's nothing.
make me want to watch.
There's
it,
there's nothing like worse than a movie just making you feel like nothing, like just feel like totally
Oh, it
you know,
made me feel
unmoved.
something.
You know, yeah,
I
yeah,
was
exactly,
moved,
yeah.
but in the wrong way.
yeah, exactly. But I still think that it's good to have those experiences because like it got you thinking. You thought about it for a while. We've been talking about it. You know, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
It's gonna happen.
It's
more.
another Ephus movie. For
It's gonna
me.
happen more though. You know.
That's the whole
Yeah,
point.
it's
That's
to
why
both to both of us.
We're making
you know?
this adventure, you
Yeah.
know, and like
Yeah.
it's fun. I don't regret going to see it at
Yes.
all.
Yeah.
I don't regret hanging out with you guys. I always enjoy that time.
Yeah.
And it'll take a very special situation for me to hate it so much that I wish I would have never done it type
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
Because I'm all about experiences and I want to be out there in the world and experiencing things and figure out more about myself and then
Yeah.
to hang out with you guys because we bounce off ideas, we talk about
Yeah,
this stuff,
exactly.
and we dig into it. And you gave it a 7, but dude, respects to you for finding a movie that you found a 7, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, it's what makes our friendship work. It's what makes this whole venture work is that we can have these experiences and discuss them like grown people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're learning more about ourselves.
Yeah.
As we're doing that.
So I just gotta find like nothing but movies with super unlikable, annoying people in them for future Matt and Mike matinee. You know.
You know what? I'm gonna say. So the feeling that Hundreds of Beavers gave me,
Yeah.
right? Like what the am I watching? Is the same thing that Friendship gave me, except on
That's interesting. Yeah.
on
Nice.
opposite sides
Yeah.
of the coin.
Yeah.
On opposite extremes there. Hundreds of Beavers was fun. It knew what it was doing, and it wanted to be fun. Friendship knew what it was doing, but it wasn't fun
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
me.
I respect that. So
I'm glad you enjoyed it, though.
2 and 7. I did enjoy it, but
Did you have any, like, outstanding moments throughout the movie that you were like, this is what bumped it up to a 7?
I mean, there's a lot of things I like all of the little things that fleshes Craig out as a character. I like the layers of monkey see, monkey do that Craig gets involved in.
Yeah.
Like I like that he buys the drums, but he buys the drums way after he's already like ruined his relationship with Austin, but he still tries to salvage it. Like he doesn't have like
Hey,
the
man, you wanna
foresight.
come over and jam with me?
Like he doesn't have the foresight to understand that when you sucker punch somebody
and don't apologize.
and don't apologize for it,
Or
and
take, like, ownership of it.
that person probably doesn't want to have anything to do with you. But I think that scene, the scene where he like sneaks into Austin's home while his wife's still there, and he's like rummaging through all of his stuff, and
That's
he
when I
steals
hopped
his
out.
gun
Yeah.
while these people are talking to him, and he's on like this Zoom meeting call inside Austin's home with his gun, is really funny. And then his wife starts like trying to walk in on him, and he's trying to escape, and that's why later I think you did come in whenever Austin was accusing him of breaking into his house.
Yeah.
Is because of that,
Yeah.
I think that whole sequence is the timing on those jokes are really good on those scenes, and I think, there's just a lot of tiny nuances and tiny comedic moments I think really really are really well done, and I think
absolutely. Andrew and Tim, you could tell that they had a really good relationship going on with this movie because you could almost cut this movie up into individual skits and they would work really well alone. You know, if you didn't know who Craig was as an overarching character throughout the movie, the scene with the toads would go over really well. The scene with the boxes, right, would go over well. The scene where he's like dreaming about how he's like can see the future would go over really well.
Yeah, and where he's like daydreaming about like driving around in Austin's car, convertible, or even the scene where there's a couple other sequences. There's the one with the knife where he like buys like just like Austin does. He buys like an antique, but he buys like this little tiny little knife.
Yeah,
and he invites like, a bunch of his like coworkers from work over, and they're just this is a sword from Victorian era or something like that, and they're totally unimpressed by it, and they're like, let's talk about the Marvel movie, and you're like. The whole running gag was like, no, we don't talk about Marvel in this house. Like, he's just a total killjoy. But there's a lot of really the mushroom scenes are really funny. Yeah, where he's like cutting his like he goes into the forest and
totally hoping for like a mushroom trip that whole time.
Yeah.
And then he later feeds it to his family. I would have loved to like them have like a trip.
Yeah, but
they didn't.
It wasn't. No,
the trip came from Toad. But anyways, how do you feel about it?
I'm there. I think the review is good. I liked watching it with you. I think I'm ready for more stuff. Well, I guess one last thing we'll end it on is Andrew D. Young. Tone of the movie, you know.
He hit it right on the nail,
version.
Nail
yeah. So would you be willing to watch more movies of his in the future?
Yeah, definitely.
Assuming that he kind of like doesn't make a movie with the purpose of this one to make this cringe comedy kind of movie.
So going forward, right? If I ever get a sense of something that will turn into friendship and give me a heart attack, I'll probably hop out of it. I'll probably pass. You know what I mean? Going forward, that will be the thing. But if it's not such a hard to chew, hard to watch movie for me, then absolutely. Like I would love to see more from him. Yeah. Like if he can hit this nail on the head so well and evoke such a visceral reaction from me, then there's no telling what else he could write that would blow my mind.
Right.
Like it's there.
Yeah, it's there. Just a different movie in the future for you, for Mike. So last thing I'll say, the very last thing, the music, good. The score, because that's one of the first things you said. You're like, this score is really good.
Oh yeah, the very beginning of it.
Synthy score. Well, it's the whole film. It's really cool, actually.
I was too heated to really pay attention to the music.
It's good.
I probably should have picked up on that a little bit more. But
Keegan did that, and I think that we got to give some props to Keegan because it's good. So,
absolutely.
But I think it'll wrap it up. I don't have anything left to say about this one. I don't think. What about you? You done? So
I'm gonna go drink a cup of nice hot tea.
Yeah.
And listen to my lo-fi for a minute to calm down. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. I'll get a little bit of that tea too. See everybody on the next episode. Leave some comments down below. And if you have any movies you want us to check out, we're planning on doing some classic reviews, so let us know.
Yeah. So. Thanks for being here, guys. And as always, see you on the clip side.
Peace.